Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today, following on from the previous tutorial, we'll be exploring how we can import our data and then use Mapbox to map it. So we're going to be importing our data from this reputable source called Aurin, which is basically a library of data sources, which we can then download and start to map in a very clear and aesthetic way. So what we want to do is just click up there and then click in the search data and type in the sort of data that we want to look for. So in this case, let's look for income at an SA2 level. And as we can see, we are given an abundance of data, and we'll just choose one that sounds like it is the most reputable. Here we go. Personal income. We can see that this is giving us data for the whole of Australia. Most of the data comes from Australia or the states within Australia, but there's not very much international data. So now we scroll down and we can see this button here where our data is and where we have the ability to download it. If we click this little Explorer button, we get two options. So we can go and see where our data is being pulled from, but we don't need to worry about that. And if we go to resource, this is where we can download our data. So it'll prompt you to log in or create an account if you don't already have one. Thankfully, I already have an account, so I will just log on in using an educational license. And there we go. Now I can see that I have access to this data, and we can see the format that we want to download it in. And GeoJSON works really, really well with Mapbox, so we're going to keep it as GeoJSON. CSV also works quite well, but GeoJSON it can read, so we'll stick with that. And now we'll just wait for that to download, and we'll head over to Mapbox whilst that downloads to my laptop. Now, the first thing we want to do is go to design to our Mapbox account, and we'll start creating our Mapbox. So we'll just create a map. For a basic overview of how Mapbox works, look at the previous tutorial. Now we'll use this here existing map to input our data into. So we can see that we're in Thomastown at the moment doing a design project here, so I thought that's relevant. And just a refresher, we have our properties panel over here, and this is where we can start to add in things such as data. So we're going to hit this add new layer, and here we can start to add what we want. So we see this button here that says upload data. We're going to hit that, and we're going to select a file, and this will prompt us to then download the data that we just downloaded. Confirm that that's what I want, and we can see that that's starting to download down the bottom here. It may take a few moments to download, so we'll just let that download. So we can see that this now has loaded, so we'll just click this copy link, and we'll go to components and hit the plus button, and it will prompt us to choose a new component to add. In this case, it's data visualization. And because our data has been selected, we can go selected data, and then we can search for it just by typing in that data, and there we go, it's located the data that we just downloaded here. Alternatively, you can look at your data that you've already loaded, as well as the Mapbox data. So we'll go select visualization type, and this will prompt you to choose how you want to display your data. So in this case, let's look at something cool and let's do some 3D extrusions. And then we can filter it via what we actually want to show. So we'll stick with earners per person from 2017 to 18. We also have the ability to change how the data is displayed, and we can create different levels of data as well, so that the data is shown in different amounts. And we also have the ability to customize the data breakup and display. We'll use a single color. We can add another color if we want. But for now, let's just use pink. And that all looks good. And now zoom out. And we can start to understand our data. When we look at the angle there, we can see that, well, hey, our data is showing the places of higher income streams are represented in a higher way. Now, if we're not very happy with that, we still have the ability to go back to our layers. And we can go to extrusions here, and where we can see how that data is displayed, so we can edit it that way as well. If we go back to our components, our 3D extrusions here, we can play with this a little bit more. So if we want to make a little bit more of a drastic difference between the way the data is shown, maybe we can make this, let's say 5,000. Make this 1,000. Make this one here. Oops. 3,000. There we go. Automatically we'll set those numbers to make sense. And we can add another stop if we want as well, to create even more variation between the data sets that are displayed. So we might make this one 20,000. And this one, let's say 30,000. Now to create more drastic results, we can just adjust the height of everything. Oops, just let it take a second to load. There we go. And now we can quite clearly see how much each SA2 region is making. And we can see quite simply the poorer areas and the wealthier areas. Obviously, hence the reason coastal line and the city is quite built up, because that's a high income stream. And we zoom out and we actually have this data for the whole of Australia. If we want to go look at Adelaide, we can do that as well. And we can see the different levels of income from there, from 2017 to 2018. So that basically concludes how we can import data and show it in a really cool, clear way, and also a very unique way. I hope that this tutorial helped, and have fun mapping. I'll see you on the next tutorial.